Hello. Welcome back to the USL show. Um, it's been a heck of a week. It's been 2 weeks since I've been on. Feels like forever. I was telling Gio before we started the show. Um, I've had some cool opportunities recently, and I decided, to take some time for mental health stuff. So, but the entire time, like Tuesday, 8 p.m. for me would roll around. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Um, so I missed you guys, but I want to hear how you guys are doing. Alan, you popped in during the intro, so I haven't talked to you at all. How are you doing? And he mutes himself just in the nick of time.
Hey, I
Hey,
lost sound. Let me figure out what's going on because I saw you talking.
that's
I'll be right back.
well. All right.
Oh boy.
Off to a roaring start. Gio, my main man. How are you
How you
doing,
doing, buddy? Man, I have missed you so much. It hasn't been the same without you. I've had a few heartbreaking losses to endure the last 2 weeks, but it's okay. I'm good. I'm hanging on. Still have hope. No, not in panic mode yet about anything.
I do want to talk a little bit about these Open Cup matches. Very, very excited about uh the Open Cup. It's so great to have it back because you get wonderful cup sets or not so wonderful cup sets. And just brilliant matches all around. I just want to ask you, the atmosphere at in
Legacy.
Greenville
Yeah.
looked electric.
It was awesome. That was one of the best nights of my life. I got to meet new friends and that I've never met before. I had good friends with me and family, and we had a great time. Charlotte came out strong. They had a good set of supporters, and I met some of their supporters, um, and which was pretty cool. I thought they were going to be, uh, I thought they were going to be uh, trashier. So they talk a lot of crap on Twitter, but they they were just full, just class, all around. They came out to support their team, and I respect that. You can make all the jokes about the money and MLS and not supporting the independents, whatever. Um, they came out to play, and uh, yes, I am the smartest USL host. Thank you. But I had a great time. I haven't been to a game that exciting since our home opener in 2019 against Lansing, which is a special night. And I share the tweet of the goal that I got to win the game every chance I get. And I wish I had a goal from the other day because that place is the loudest. It was the loudest it's ever been when we scored. And they were holding on. We held on really well for a team that's injured. We aren't getting any favors with the injuries and the amount of games. I was looking at the schedule. We don't have a bye week for a long time. We have a couple Wednesday games here and there. So losing in the Open Cup may not have been the worst thing in the world for us, but it was amazing. I love the Open Cup, and can't wait for next season and to see what happens the rest of the way.
Love to hear that. Love to see you guys go toe to toe with Charlotte. On the flip side, finally back. Can you hear me?
I can.
Let's
I don't know what
go.
happened. I heard the intro, like you had some great opportunities, and then all of a sudden it was just like, I was like,
How are you doing,
yeah,
Alan?
pretty good. It seems like my sound is working as well as San Diego Loyal has been playing recently. Good at times, and then just things stop working for a second, and then all heck breaks loose. But it's been a weird week because they haven't played in a while, and they won't play till Saturday. So it's been kind of a lull in soccer week, but life's been picking up, and I've been unioning a lot more, so it's been pretty good.
Oh, and we have a guest artist or a guest, but not a dog. But we do have a very important guest joining us. Sorry, Alan, might be cooler than a dog. In a little bit, Betsy Haugh from the USL. She is the director of operations at the Super League or director of operations at W League and the director of the Super League. She's going to be joining us very, very shortly. We're going to be talking all sorts of stuff. Has a wonderful reputation, and I could not be more excited to talk to her. But before we get into that, because we do need to, get rolling before she jumps in here, I want to go ahead and just jump straight into our biggest shocks and biggest I told you so's of the weekend. I am, and by the way, we'll be doing picks tomorrow. No matches are happening tonight, so we'll be doing our official picks and releasing them tomorrow. But what was kind of your biggest shocks of this last week? And biggest I told you so. So let's start off with Alan.
Yeah, I think my biggest shock of the week is just kind of how some of the top teams in both the East and the West, maybe outside of Colorado, maybe a little bit underperformed this week. Phoenix needing a last minute winner, Tampa Bay drawing to Baby Bowls, Louisville drawing to Charleston. Again, Detroit needing some last minute life to pull through. I thought that was kind of the biggest shock. I thought some of these would be more lopsided goals. My biggest I told you so isn't really, again, an I told you so. I've been told to pick against Harry's San Antonio.
Don't do
So they could win, and I did, and so they won. So I guess I told you so. Like you're welcome, I guess, is the thing. Yeah, my biggest surprise is for sure kind of maybe a little bit of a down weekend for some of the East and West favorites. But still kind of a decently exciting week for USL in general.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the whole USL show curse. I mean, listen, it was funny when Tulsa added us. Hey, admin, if you're listening to this, I want to know how you've been doing ever since we started picking you, pal. This is your fault, not ours. Gio, biggest shocks, biggest I told you so's.
Biggest shock, definitely for me was Tucson beating Chattanooga. That was a wild game over the weekend. Chattanooga looks really strong. I've been impressed with them, and I look forward to the game on Friday. And then but they got a penalty right at the end and snuck one up in Chattanooga also, which was impressive because that's a hard place to play. And I can't wait to go to that game this year in Chattanooga. I really did not expect Union Omaha to beat Central Valley Fuego by 3-0. I know Central Valley's been playing a lot of games, but so has Omaha. With the Open Cup, they've been having good runs, especially Omaha, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it. But to beat them 3-0 in I think it was their home opener, was pretty huge, and it's a huge statement. They lost their two best strikers, and they're doing fairly well. I've enjoyed watching this, see what Hurst and even Viator's doing in Sacramento and Conway with the Loyal. But they're holding on. They're doing really well with this team, and it looks like they're meshing together. And it hurt watching Greenville lose to Tormenta, but I wouldn't say it was a big disappointment because Tormenta is a solid team. You know that, Kaler. And I picked them to win, and I don't think anybody else did except for maybe one other person. So this is why this is the Geo Told You So segment. And I called it. But they're a strong team, and I think we dominated in certain portions of the game, but it was just meaningless possession. We had 16 shots, but 2 on target. I think one of them was a deflected shot. So it's disappointing that we aren't are producing just yet, but I think we will once our injuries get better. But it was disappointing to see this 2-0 loss at home. So we just got to come back strong.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, League One definitely had some shockers in there. And I guess I don't know if we actually predicted this, but I mean, I'm a little bit shocked that that Charlotte put up as much of a fight as they did against Richmond. I thought Richmond was going to absolutely steamroll them, just to be honest. But honestly, one of the biggest I told you so's happened in our private chat, and I wish Ryan was here. Ryan released Legion as his lock of the week, and which I told him don't. Um, and then he said, I'm going to do it anyway. And that was a horrible decision. I'm a little bit shocked that Bolt didn't come for my neck. He kind of did, but then quickly let off. So thank you, Bolt, for being a merciful Lord, I guess. I don't know.
He came for mine. He tweeted the picture of the trash can at Legacy. That kind of after he told me he wasn't even there, and so I'm gonna have a talk with him.
What a snake.
Exactly. That's why we're friends too.
I don't know. I think for the most part, obviously a few shocking results when it comes to draws, but I think in general, the league kind of went almost to plan this last week, except for the Open Cup, where hey, that's the magic of the cup, baby. I mean, the only thing that's predictable is the unpredictability, and that's all that matters. You know, lots of great stuff happening in U.S. soccer right now. Legion has a lot of great things going on. We just graduated a bunch of people out of our academy. I know, Tormenta is doing all of the dang things. Hartford's getting a little bit weird with old Corey Herzog, not Herzog Field in Colorado, promise. But getting signed with Hartford, that was weird, just kind of out of nowhere. I don't know. Lots of just fun stuff happening around the league. But one of the things that I've been most excited about, and I know for a lot of fans as well, has been the USLW League and the Super League, which is coming next year. Also very excited about that. But you guys see the title. You guys see it. We have a very special guest today. We are being joined by someone. She is a graduate of Marshall University and also Virginia Tech, 2 degrees, infinite more than I have. So that's awesome. Spent a lot of time working her way up through minor league baseball, finding her way through different avenues, and then making her way to the USL, becoming the director of operations at the W League and the director of the USL Super League. We are being joined by Miss Betsy Haugh. Hi,
Thanks.
Welcome to the USL show.
Thanks, Kaylor. Appreciate it. It's great to be with you guys.
So, how are you doing? And how about a little bit of an intro for the people who want to get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah, absolutely. Doing great. I think there's a resounding feeling of excitement. I know I have, and I know much everyone at USL HQ has, as you mentioned, referencing the W League and being 10 days away from our inaugural match taking place next Friday. So absolutely pumped for that and getting closer by the day, by the minute. We started that countdown much higher than double digits, and it'll turn to single digits tomorrow. So very excited for that one. But no, as far as an overview, I mean, I think you did a great job, but I'm one of the individuals at USL HQ that has the pleasure of working on building our women's pathway. And that includes the W League, the Super League, and of course the Academy as well. So it's a really exciting time for us to be in the women's game and to be at USL. And we're very excited for what's to come in the next 10 days over the course of the summer and then leading into 2023.
I just want to go ahead and just start off. This is not, one of the questions that we originally written down, but here on the USL show, we care deeply about fashion and passion about fashion. Do you have any leaks of possible kits? We know you do. It's fine. Just go ahead and send them to us. Also, what about the shirt that you're wearing? Where can the people get that?
Yeah, so I am wearing the Support Local USLW League Talisman collection that we actually put out on the day that we announced the W League back last June, which feels like 5 minutes ago and 10 years ago simultaneously. We do still have a few of these available on USL's website, the USLW League shop. So if anyone wants one, they're pretty cool. You can see it's the Support Local. You get most of it up here in the camera. And as far as kids, that collection can never be big enough. So I know you guys are rocking them tonight. We've got some great ones that have come out. I know one of my personal favorites, I don't know how much it's been seen, but Asheville City has a really cool, it's got the orange and pink kind of slash going down it. So that's one of my personal favorites. Might need to make that purchase. And then, of course, can't say enough about the designs from Minnesota Aurora. Green Bay Glory had a nice drop. So if I bought a kit from every team, I would probably need a second job for sure. So.
I mean, you're already kind of running everything, so it seems. So maybe don't do that.
Fair.
Highly agreed. Let's just go ahead and start off the formal questions, the serious business, if you will. Kind of heading the operations. A, what is that? And B, what's kind of your long-term goals for the W League?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what goes into operations is quite a bit. And we've got various different ops teams at USL. I'm more on the business ops side of things. And we have a terrific soccer ops staff that makes sure that we have players and referees and games scheduled and all that important stuff, certainly. But for us, the long-term goal of the W League, we've got a couple. We're very ambitious, but mostly we want to be the nation's premier pre-professional women's soccer league, developing the next generation of talent, both on and off the field. So for us, it's really cool to see these player registrations come in over the past couple of months. Because when we started last June, we had these goals and these ambitions of having X number of players, of X number of coaches. And now 10 days out, we know confidently that the number of players competing in this league will surpass that 1,200 mark. We know that we have over 130 different coaching positions throughout the W League and many more front office opportunities. We'll have over 1,000 different referee assignments over the course of the summer. So for us, that opportunity extends from off the field and on the field. And that's really, really important and been an area of focus for us as well.
And how big is it to have some of these opportunities, specifically in a women's league, to not only legitimize coaching women as an opportunity across the board, but also specifically to have an avenue of not just on the pitch opportunities, but off the pitch opportunities to develop that talent?
Yeah, I think it's tremendously important because a lot of times when you think of sports, you focus a lot on just the players, right? And for us, it's more of a holistic approach where we want to see women in the front office. We want to see women referees. Our crew in Indianapolis for the inaugural match will feature 3 female referees out of the 4 in that crew. So that's really exciting for us. We want to see women on the sidelines as coaches, and we've done a great job of encouraging our clubs, to consider that opportunity for different women to be involved in the organization. And it'll be a really good summer opportunity for these players to get a taste of the pre-professional space through the W League, and also to see women in these different positions gives them something to aspire to as well when their playing days are done.
And I can imagine also with all of these great kits and great colors being produced, that you're also creating opportunities for people to work in kind of the content creating world as well. So we're excited to see what kind of W League specific content, but also like folks like us on the USL show that are creating content kind of on their own to cover this league. So we're excited for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to you guys and a big kudos for everything that you do, because I think, part of how we grow the game is to make it more accessible and get more people talking about it. And you guys do a terrific job at that. And there are many others in the same boat where we need people to talk about the W League and to talk about the women's pathway at the USL so people can understand about the opportunities that exist within it from a fan perspective as well. I mean, one of the things that we're most excited about is we've got 44 different teams competing in over 20 states. So the reach of this league is massive. And then you also look at the streaming partnership we formed with 11. and fans are going to be able to watch. I think we're at somewhere over or close to probably 200 matches that will be available live streamed over the course of the summer. It's just about 80% of our teams, based on the latest numbers that we have. So that could even grow more, but we want to make the game more accessible. We want to make high-level women's soccer more accessible, and that requires help from everyone. So we appreciate the content creators very much.
And I want to comment just selfishly. I am so excited about Greenville Liberty. I went to the presentation and it was amazing. I love what they're doing. And as a girl dad of an 11-year-old, this is special to me because she's gone with me to all men's games for her whole life. She's gone to Greenville Triumph games since the day they were established. But now she can have opportunity to see girls just out of high school and in college getting the opportunity and seeing these girls live and how that we care about women's soccer. So the question I have for you is, how will the W League and the Super League fit in the women's landscape along with NWSL?
Yeah, well, I mean, those are the stories that we want to tell, right? The story that you just shared. And for us, watching Greenville has been tremendously exciting. They were one of our first 8 announced back in June. And then they've been working, behind the scenes and in front of the camera for quite some time now on building this W League team. And I got a chance to visit with Julie Carlson when she was down here in Tampa at the Academy Cup a couple of weeks ago. And I mean, the brand unveil has been fantastic. So I hope that you and your daughter enjoy those games, and I have no doubt that you will. But for us, as we look at how the W League fits into the American soccer landscape, it's all about the pathway for us. So the W League is a pre-professional. The Super League will be professional above it. And I just referenced the Academy, which will be further development for players. And as we look at this, USL has this unique youth to pro pathway that no other league can offer the way that we do for a player to continue to develop, whether it's with one club or to play for a W League team and get scouted by a Super League team. However those player movements work, the pathway is there. And that's what we're investing in to help grow the game and provide development opportunities and then professional playing opportunities for thousands of women across the country.
Yeah, kind of speaking to that, I mean, there are other leagues around, obviously, who do a really good job of, promoting women's soccer, but the USL just has a different reach. Just the name attached to the USL that has become more and more legitimate by the month, really. It's really cool. I love Alabama women's soccer. We have a couple girls, I think, playing in the W League. I know Felicia Knox is, and I've seen half of the girls who play for the Liberty play against Alabama through Clemson and Auburn, a bunch of girls up there who I've watched. And the amount of times I've seen girls play at Alabama who deserve that next level opportunity, that really only having one league around that just didn't get that chance. I'm so excited to see this league pop up, or and the work that you guys are doing to keep it going forward. But I do kind of want to ask, and this is kind of in the same vein of Gio's Triumph / Liberty, and it's kind of how much emphasis do you guys put on having a consistent branding or becoming one single entity? Like, is something like Liberty / Triumph, encouraged, or is it like almost like European where it's one club? We want it to be one club. Like, kind of what's y'all's vibe on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, it's something that we've been thinking about for, when did I join USL? Last January. So now it's a question that at least I've been thinking about for that long. And I know others for longer, but we don't, I'll be honest with you, we don't have a perfect answer for that because a lot of it is so dependent on the club and the community, as with any brand. And so Greenville Liberty is one where they opted for a separate brand for their women's team. On the other side of the spectrum, South Georgia Tormenta put a beautiful letter out that Nitra Van Tassel, their co-owner, pinned about how they're one club with one crest, and that is working beautifully in South Georgia. So there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to that, but we do look at it from a variety of different business metrics as well to see if we can kind of get closer to one maybe being a best practice than the other. And we're going to learn a lot through this year as we see these brands come to life and these clubs come to life. But yeah, no perfect answer for you right now. It's a conversation that we always enjoy having with our clubs to see what they're thinking. And we just like to see the best decision made for the local market.
Yeah, speaking of some local markets, I live in San Diego, and we're excited that we are finally getting an NWSL club with Angel City as well. It's like you're developing these instant rivalries out of the bat, and I know that there's some future plans for like a team in Stockton, but what is the, like, I'm borrowing Andy's question here, like what is the critical mass of teams getting in the Pacific time zone? And then kind of a follow-up is how are teams approaching joining the W League? Is it kind of you seeking out cities, or is it kind of waiting for cities and ownership to seek you out? And what's that process like?
Yeah, so I'll start with the first one from you and Andy. Looking at the Pacific Coast, we have announced Stockton as our first expansion club for 2023, obviously out of California. There will be more where that comes from in the not too distant future, because certainly we can't have a division with only one team. So we'll put a few others around Stockton on the West Coast here soon. A lot of those are in motion, just getting closer to the public announcements for them. So our expansion will actually continue throughout the summer with announcements being made even while we're playing for this inaugural season. But we're very excited to get a presence out on the West Coast and look at the mountain region as well, Texas, all of those different areas. You can look at the footprint that we have on the men's side in League Two and think something similar. And then to the second part of your question as to where these clubs come from, part of the really exciting decision to launch the W League was the owner interest that we had from within the USL ecosystem. And that was across the championship. We've got four championship teams in the W League for this year, 5 League One teams, and then 24 League Two teams. And actually, we brought in 11 new markets, and 7 of those joined League Two as well. So that interest amongst our current ownership base was extremely high. And we see that continuing into 2023 as well. And then also with the way that the league has grown and received more recognition and more publicity and more people just know about it, to be honest, we're having inbound inquiries like our group out of Stockton, where we work with them on a fairly rigorous expansion process to see if it's a good fit for both parties. And if it is, you get a cool moment like we had a couple weeks ago where we get to announce an expansion club and bring women's soccer to a new community.
And follow-up question to that. So I was curious, how did the league decide who gets a W League team, who gets a Super League team? Because, of course, I'm excited for Greenville to have our W League team. But I guess did the club specifically reach out, or did you guys reach out to them? How does that process work?
Yeah, it's a very collaborative process. So it's not necessarily us deciding who gets what or what we think might be better somewhere. We work with the clubs to really determine where they want their entry point into the women's game to be. And for some, that's a W League team. For some, that's a Super League team. And what's really cool is actually we're seeing a handful of clubs that want both. So we will see some clubs embrace the pathway in the same way that the league has, by having a W League team that can serve as a developmental pipeline for the players, and then a Super League team come above it. And of course, this isn't a plan that will be finalized tomorrow. It'll take some time. But as we look at the long-term futures of both the W League and the Super League, I think we'll see a handful and that number grow of clubs that have teams at both levels.
I was just about to ask that question because, we see stuff like that already happening with, Tormenta with a League One team and also a League Two team. And I was wondering if that would be what happens with the Super League, if that was in the plans themselves. But we do see a lot of League Two teams with W League teams as well. That kind of concept of purely development and, experience and stuff like that. Is that something that you guys talk about? Like if a club approaches you and says, we want women's soccer, and it's like, we don't know what we want. Is that something you kind of talk about? It's like, which do you want? Do you want to do this pathway or do you want to do this pathway? What's that conversation like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And obviously, if you want to start from a purely logistical standpoint, as someone on an operations side of life tends to do, there's certain criteria that have to be met for both leagues. And obviously, with a professional league like the Super League, those are considerably higher than what we have in the pre-professional space. So for some, it's looking at things like market size and pieces like that, and that helps us steer our direction or our decision one way or the other. But really, it's a conversation with the clubs to understand what their objectives are. For a lot of our League Two teams, it makes sense to have a W League team at the same level so that they can offer that same senior level team. More than 80% of the clubs that we have in the W League this year have either an academy below them or an affiliated relationship with a youth club. So it offers another playing opportunity for players to continue to grow as they go from youth to their college days and college years, to have that senior team to aspire to. And so we look at it in that regard. It's very conversational. We figure out what the club's objectives are. We figure out what the league needs, and we put 2 and 2 together.
So I just wanted to, I guess, pick your brain a little bit more about, I guess, the Super League just a little bit. Obviously, like you said, W League is literally right around the corner. We get super excited for League Two happening this Saturday, and then we jump right into W League, which is massive. But looking forward to next year, I'm just kind of wondering, for people who maybe don't know, what is truly the difference? Obviously, the idea of like development versus professional, but what's the difference, especially from an operations side for you? What's the big difference between the two?
Yeah, there are quite a few differences, but they work very very hand in hand. They're complementary, and that's the way that we've built them to be. So with the Super League, obviously it's a longer schedule. Most importantly, it's a fully professional league, so all of our players will be paid. They cannot be paid in the W League because they need to maintain their college eligibility. But in the Super League, it's a fully professional league, and our players will actually be compensated through the same standards and structures as the players in the USL Championship. So men's Division II and women's Division II will receive that equal treatment in terms of remuneration, accommodations, whatever it may be. And that's been a really, really big focus for us. We announced that on the exact same day that we announced the Super League, because for us, that equality is absolutely paramount. And then, a couple other differences that you mentioned. The length of the season is different. Obviously, these will be fully paid players, and the professional space, it'll be there's the differences like that, and you'll see the players that can move up from the W League into the Super League to advance to a professional career, which is the dream for every little girl kicking a soccer ball in her backyard. So we're very excited to see how the two will work together. And I think equally as important, too, when we look at, I mentioned them being complementary, the W League will play May, June, and July, and the Super League is going to kick off on a fall to summer calendar. So we'll start following the Women's World Cup in August 2023 and wrap the season in early summer of 2024. So players could graduate college, go compete in the W League, earn a roster spot with the Super League, and just flow through that pathway pretty smoothly.
Wow. That's really cool. I never even thought about that, to be honest. And I do want to ask a question. Sorry, Alan, for taking all. But something that was posted in here was, what about NIL? And this is something I've wondered about. Obviously, players can't sign a professional contract. That makes sense. But something like a W League, would receiving an NIL deal ban them from W League, or would that affect their standings within NCAA in some way, or is those two completely different entities?
Yeah, NIL is a beast to get your arms around, if we're being honest. I think it changes a little bit, maybe not by the day, but their developments related to NIL pretty regularly. And so our team is doing a great job of tracking those and following along with what we can do, because ultimately we want to understand the ways that our players can be quote unquote compensated. And we want to encourage our clubs and their players to maximize those opportunities while most importantly maintaining their college eligibility for not only themselves, but also the other players on their team. So our team is working very hard to understand NIL. We'll be surveying our clubs to see which players have NIL deals over the course of this season and understanding a little bit more about how those work. And it's something that's going to be continually developing. So we'll continue to monitor it and see how we can best work in the same space as NIL.
All right. Alan, do you have anything from Miss Betsy?
Sure. With the kickoff around the corner, what is exciting you about building up to the kickoff to the W League? And is there anything from kind of someone who's never experienced, I wouldn't say never experienced professional women's soccer, because I don't think that would be necessarily the people in our audience, but something that maybe someone who's hasn't been paying as much attention to the W League, what's something that you want them to know going into this opening weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to be fun, if we're being honest, and we go back to the root of what all of us love about soccer. I mean, it's going to be a fun experience, and we'll be up in Indy. A team of us from the league office will be up in Indy to experience this moment with them as they host King's Hammer, and it will be just a really cool moment, I think, to see the fans come together and embrace women's soccer at this level. We announced this league. It'll be about 11 months ago by the time it kicks off, closer to almost a full year. So for us to see it come to fruition and come to life and be able to bring soccer to the communities in this fashion, I mean, it's just going to be a good time. And I think anybody that's a fan of lower level soccer and professional soccer and what we have to offer at the USL knows about the game day experience and the atmosphere and the culture that surrounds the different leagues. And that's just a fun thing to be a part of. Once you get in, you're hooked. And so there's 254 games for fans to come and get hooked by this summer. And there are plenty of them that'll be available to watch for our fans that aren't in a market where we have a team yet. Give us some time. We'll get there. But for us, I think it's just going to be fun. We're going to be seeing high level women's soccer. And that's what it's all about.
I do have a question. I think it would be a difficult thing, but the idea of it would be fun. But we've experienced a lot of fun with the U.S. Open Cup. Well, would there ever be talks about a women's Open Cup with possibly the Super League and WSL, or however that would work? W League, I feel like it'd be complicated, I guess, with just the schedules being different. But you'd think that could be a possibility in the future.
Yeah, I love the Open Cup. I love the chaos behind it. And of course, we got a couple. I could sit here and shout out quite a few of our teams from the USL, Union Omaha, and some others that just the cup sets were magical over the past couple weeks. We'd love to see that on the women's side, right? I mean, more competitions, more opportunities for fans to get invested, more opportunities for communities to see really cool competitions and great matchups. So that's definitely something that we're thinking about. And, with the addition of the W League, the Super League, and certainly what the NWSL has to offer as a great league of itself. The possibility is certainly out there. I can't speak too much to what that will look like yet, but I'd love to see some of that chaos on the women's side in the future.
I mean, personally, I want to see a little bit less cup sets, but that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Kind of going off of the same idea, and I kind of hate. I'm full bias out there. I hate how some things in the U.S. end up working with soccer, because instead of being a straight streamline, which, like you said, the USL is working very hard to make everything a streamline to go, work your way up through academy to professional, which is wonderful. Unfortunately, there is a bit of quote unquote competition within the development women's leagues between like WPSL and then UWS and so on and so forth. Is there something between those leagues? Like, do you guys talk to each other, or is it, hey, we're all independent, we're all just trying to grow the game, let's do our dang thing? How does that work?
Yeah, I think you hit the most important part is we're all trying to grow the game, right? So a rising tide raises all ships, and more soccer, the better. And for us, when we look at, the sheer number of women's soccer players out there, this is a stat that usually we throw out in relation to the Super League, but it works here too. There's 40,000 college soccer players in the women's game, right? And for the W League to create opportunities for them to play in the summer, and then for the Super League to create paying opportunities for them to play when they've exhausted their eligibility or are ready to move into the professional space. I mean, there's a dire need for more opportunities to play. And so for us, it's all about we're running in the same direction, trying to grow the game, and the more soccer, the better.
For me, like I said, I've only missed 2 Alabama soccer matches my entire time here in college. And I've gotten to see a lot of these players and grow really attached to a lot of them. So it's great to see, them moving forward. Just wondering, is there going to be, this is just nerdy brain, Kaylor, like a way for maybe fans to follow, like to know, like, oh, there's a player from this university playing here, or maybe like a kid from my area is playing here. Is there going to be like stuff on the website to be able to see like players and like where they're from, or is that just going to be hosted on just the normal every club's website?
Yeah, your best bet for that is typically the club website. They'll have their rosters up there, but a shout out to our team on the digital space and in communications, social. I mean, they do a fantastic job of identifying really cool stories that we want to help tell. And that includes highlights of players from, maybe from their hometown competing on a W League team, a trio from a certain college, whatever it may be. So our team will keep you up to date through the various digital platforms, but the clubs will do the same. And it'll be really exciting to see once player registration, I won't say wraps up because that's open a little bit into the season, but once that comes a little bit further along as we head into next week and then the matches that begin in mid to late May, you'll be able to see a lot more about that detail of where certain players are from.
So something, and obviously this kind of goes into what I was talking about with like you mentioned, a rising tide, that whole deal. And obviously if this is a question you can't really get into, we understand. But Andy kind of dropped it in, what's kind of the difference between W League and UWS and WPSL? Is it just the different, I guess, areas, like the different, what are they called? The territory rights or that thing? Or is there differences between those?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at a high level, it's something that we talked about earlier, where we look at this kind of one club, 2 teams approach, where a lot of our clubs are tied to an existing men's team or bringing in a men's and women's team simultaneously. And that means shared infrastructure and shared resources and the ability to really rely on what is already in place and what's worked well and modify what needs to be done in the women's space. And the same thing goes for the league office, right? I mean, we've got over 85 industry professionals at USL HQ, everything from creative to digital to marketing to legal, club services, expansion, real estate. I don't know. We could keep going. I think there's close to 20 different departments now. But that infrastructure is really important to help us support the league and make something sustainable. And that's something that we've always been really proud of because we love to offer our clubs the best service possible. And we've got the infrastructure to do that and help support them on their efforts to grow the women's game and the men's game. I mean, it's all about growing soccer. So we do that together, working with our clubs.
And like I said, if anybody else has anything, please jump in. Kind of, I guess, you're on the show, so I and obviously we're talking about the women's league a little bit, but you've mentioned the men's league a little bit, and technically you're not attached to the men's league, and we're all about hot takes here. So I don't know how much you've been following the championship or League One, but who's winning it all? Who's winning the championship and who's winning League One?
Ooh, I can't do this. This is going to get me in trouble.
No.
Who's your favorite team? What team do you like? What team do you like right now?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, we're so early in the season. It's hard to tell exactly where we're going to go. You're not going to get me to answer this one. You can try, but No, it's tough because also I just don't want to look like an idiot when I'm wrong.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, the rest of us are fine with that. Like the rest of us are fine with looking like idiots when we're wrong.
it's what
I mean,
we
it's like a
do
known
on a
curse.
weekly basis.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a known curse.
I'm begged
We
not to pick their team. So maybe
get
that's the approach.
admins.
You name a team that you don't want to win.
Mhm.
That way, like,
Oh, you guys are gonna get me.
Ooh,
Here, that's like
she
don't
wants to-
answer this question.
she wants to say Birmingham. That's why.
Whoa, hey.
Whoa.
Hey. I do like this question from Andy. But instead of an or, I want to add an and. What's your favorite player, men's and women's?
Men's and women. So if we go global, all of women's soccer, Danielle van de Donk is my favorite in the women's space. The Dutch forward now playing in Lyon, but I'm an Arsenal fan, so that is where I followed. It was a sad. Yeah, thank you. It was a sad summer when she left. And then on the men's side, this is a tough one. I don't know that I necessarily have a men's favorite. I'll tell you, I'm in the Messi camp as compared to Ronaldo. We got a lot of United fans in the office, so might not want to talk to them tomorrow. But yeah, we'll leave it there for now.
Fair enough. I am a massive fan of Rose Lavelle. I love everything about her. She is just, I met her one time and she was the kindest human I've ever met. So just wonderful on the pitch. Just brilliant. Yeah.
Has a cow named after her. I mean, how many players can say that, right? There you go.
And is there a joke, Gio? Let us into the League One. Is there a joke about more cows than wins joke in there, or what?
Well, there might be right now. Actually, now that I think about it.
Oh man. So, anybody else with any final questions?
where can we find you on the internet?
Oh, I Twitter is my favorite. You can find me on the internet of Twitter. Pretty simple. Search my name. I think I'm the only one out there. Twitter's the best bet for sure. There it is. Dropping that right on you guys. You're on top of it. Yeah, Twitter. We'll follow along with our trip to Indy next week. We'll have a lot of coverage on my Twitter, Amanda Vandervoort, Dr. Missy Price, of course, the league Twitter. We'll have a lot of fun documenting our trip up to Indy next week and our travels and experiences throughout the season. So hopefully it's worth the follow if you give us one. I think it will be.
Before we end the show, which may end the show a little bit earlier than normal, but I do want to give a massive shout out to the lady behind the scenes. She's not on here right now, but she's listening. Lisa Patton set this all up. Has been so wonderful to talk to via email and so on and so forth. So thank you, Lisa, for setting this all up. It's been a blast. I've had a blast. And obviously go follow all of the social medias. Do that. And we're going to, I guess, end the show unless somebody else has anything. Okay, we can't put that one. Robert was basically asking why is Legion your least favorite team? So that's a great start. Anyway, the way we like to do this is, some final thoughts for the people. John Morrissey, USL Tactics, loves to go the route of anything but soccer. But if you have anything that's on your mind, whether it's TV shows, movies, music, or whether it's just being excited about anything, what you got? What's some final thoughts for the people?
Oh, you think with a topic so broad that would be easy to come up with? I got nothing. No, I'll maybe go the cheesy route in this and keep it semi-soccer related, but just want to thank you guys for the time tonight and thank all the fans that are listening for the support of the USL as a whole, but our women's pathway in particular. We're really proud of the product that we're going to put out for you guys starting in 10 days, so we hope you enjoy it with us and appreciate the support. Beyond that, I don't think you want my random thoughts, and I don't have time for random thoughts right now, so they're all soccer focused, and we'll just leave it there for now.
Fair enough. Gio, final thoughts for the folks?
Putting me on the spot here. I was trying to think of a random thought real quick. I can't think of anything. Um, I'm gonna go the route with Ryan and John would be proud of. I'm excited for the new Doctor Strange movie. About 10 days away. That's super exciting for me. There's gonna be a Batman 2. I'm super excited for that. I got my Batman kit ready for that in a few years. And I'm just want to thank you, Betsy, for getting all of this going and being a big part of it. It's going to be really special for me and to be able to take my daughter and many girls in city of Greenville and all around the United States to experience this and be part of it. So thank you so much. It really means a lot to me as a father. And I'm excited to see how it'll grow over the years, and I'll be there at every single game, just like I am at the men's games.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Gio, I'm a little bit concerned. They're making a second Batman movie. I'm not sure a second Batman movie is going to work out too well. I think just the one is fine.
One is
We don't
good.
need the second one. I'm not sure
I
what the
need it.
sequel is. Trying to
I
do
need it.
Godfather 2 or something. Yeah, I also want to just echo that, Betsy, the thanks for coming on. My entry into the love of soccer was through the women's national team. Getting to see them in person was such a fun experience. Seeing a crowd that acted and behaved differently than, maybe like a football crowd that I've been to was really enjoyable. And to see kind of representation on the pitch in a way that we might not see in some other sports. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for coming on and chatting with us tonight. My random thought-ish is kind of hyper local. The LGBT Center in San Diego is doing a fundraiser Thursday called Dining Out for Life, where restaurants are donating money to HIV/AIDS things at the LGBT Center. I know Glisten just recently had their the Day of Silence. So just keep your eye out for those ways to get involved in your community and to lift up underrepresented communities around your area. And this one's super easy. I had to eat food. So I enjoy doing that and also supporting a local restaurant. I also enjoy that. So keep your eyes out, especially over the summer. I know there's a lot of things happening in communities with, with Pride happening this summer. You have Juneteenth happening in the middle of June. Just keep your eye out for ways to get involved in your local communities.
Awesome. Yeah, echo everybody's sentiment. I could not be more excited for W League. I'm so stoked. Like I mentioned, I mean, the girls that I've been watching forever, a few of them are going and playing. And people that they've played are also playing in W League. And it's so exciting to see them further their career, whether it be continue just to play professionally or just continuing playing because they love it. And it makes my heart so happy to see. I'm so stoked. I guess I kind of have this. I guess I kind of have a couple thoughts to end the show. One's happier, and then the last one's I guess a bit sadder, which has been my MO lately. My happy one, I missed last week's show because I had the opportunity to play with a local orchestra on Saint Psalm 3. Played the third horn, which is like the big staple in the French horn world, as niche as that is. And it was a massive it was just a massive honor to do that, and it was definitely a dream come true to do. It was a wonderful way to end the college experience, if you will, and hopefully get more experiences like that in the future. And the more, I guess, depressing one, tomorrow, Legion is taking on the Charleston Battery. Tomorrow in Alabama world is massive. April 27th was massive outbreak of tornadoes back in 2011. I just had to re-record a whole podcast earlier because I just like broke down crying because I remember like communities 5 minutes from my house and people I knew, their house is gone and everything. 252 people died through those storms. And so tomorrow is going to be a really emotional day for a lot of people in Birmingham, Alabama. and also for the Charleston Battery goalkeeper who was in Birmingham with the UAB Blazers at the time, which Birmingham also was affected. So tomorrow is going to be a heavy day on the hearts for a lot of Alabamians. So keep us, I guess, in thoughts and prayers and whatnot. But, sorry to end the show as such a Debbie Downer. What else is new, I guess? But let's get a little bit happy. Let's enjoy some soccer. League 2 is on the horizon. W League is right around the corner. League 1 and the championship are popping off, and everybody knows that the U.S. Open Cup draw was rigged. So thank you guys so much for listening. And Alan, cue the music and your voice.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show. This and every episode is brought to you by the Beautiful Game Network. Find podcasts and other written work at bgn.fm. Once again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you guys again next week.